Hello, everybody, and welcome back to the Bear Creek High School podcast. I am your host, Patrick Bartholomew, and we are actually starting up a new series on this channel called Co-Club-Collabs. Ruben, do you want to explain what that is?
So Co-Club-Collabs, or the CC, is basically clubs of Bear Creek we give interviews to, and basically for those who out there are interested in joining, say, club, can get a little bit of answers to your questions.
Yay!
Wow. Oh my god. Great.
Okay, so before we actually get into the questions ourselves, the two people we are interviewing right now, why don't you guys introduce yourselves?
Well, I'm Jordan Santos, and I am a Co-Vice-President of Bear Creek's Kababayan Club.
I'm Angelina Morga. I go by Oosh, and I am co-vice-presidents with Jordan for our Bear Creek Kababayan Club.
Okay, well, nice to meet you, Oosh and Jordan. Anyways, let's start off with the basic question. What is Kaba?
I would say Kaba is, well, for one, it's Bear Creek's Filipino club. It's one of our cultural clubs on campus. For our purpose, I'd say it would be to spread awareness and kind of give a place for all the people who are interested in Filipino culture, whether it be learning or they already know, to kind of get to know each other and bond a bit about it, learn about the cultural dances, and just kind of get to know each other a little better. It's a good icebreaker for a lot of people who aren't really familiar with people of the same culture, I'd say.
So let me get this correct. It's like a beginner dancing club for Filipinos, right?
Yep, but
Okay.
we also welcome anybody who join our club.
Oh yeah, you do not have to be Filipino
You
to
don't
join
have
the
to be
club.
Filipino.
Okay.
We always emphasize that.
Yeah.
I'm a white boy and I joined it, so yeah, I know that.
Yeah, sure. The white boy. Yeah, totally not me. Totally you, Patrick.
I'm half white.
I'm half white as well. Anyways, so
What?
since you guys say,
Okay, so
you'll know when it's your turn. Okay.
okay.
What is culturally different about Kaba besides being Filipino? Is there like a different style of dance? Like we see it at other clubs, they have the fans. Is there like a different kind of style? I would say.
So what I would say is a lot of our clubs on campus are actually derivatives of Asia, and with all those different places have their own different cultural dances, so all of them are technically different. But when it comes to Filipino folk dances and that kind of stuff, we try to change it every year. There's always a different dance and a different meaning behind it every year. It's not just one style of dance all the time. I think this year we decided to switch it up and we did Habang Buhay, which is actually a song from TikTok that we found just to kind of bring in a pop culture element. Yeah.
Yeah.
But other than that, we did Pandango Asiwas and we did Sakuting, which is all different kinds of. We try to cover as many as we can each year and switch it out, so we're not doing the same thing over and over again.
So you would say it's like a cycle. How long do you would say the cycle lasts? Like it repeats every 2 years, 3 years, 1 year.
It's honestly just whatever that council decides to do that year.
Oh, so the council decides that. Okay.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
That makes sense.
Take it away,
Okay.
Patrick.
All right. So for our next question, why is Kaba so popular? Because it's one of the three biggest clubs from what we've noticed, along with swing and poly. So what makes it so popular? What do you think about it makes it that popular?
Besides culture, of course, you know.
I think the fact that we create such a community within the people of Bear Creek, our goal, of course, is to represent our club and our culture, but I also really like seeing people come together, and that's why we try to spread through our media and our friends. Kaba isn't just a Filipino club on campus. It's a club that we want people to come to and be safe and have a safe environment and also have fun with your friends.
Yeah. I think aside from a lot of people just ending up being Filipino, aside from that, it's a good place, like I said, to kind of get to know each other, and it's a jumping off point because it's hey, I know you from Kaba, or we did Hell Week together, or we did International together, or I stood next to you during this thing, you get to know people. And it kind of has its own reputation for itself for being like this club, like, oh yeah, when I get to Bear Creek, I want to join Kaba. And that's kind of, I feel like, how a lot of people were. I know I was, because I had like family who were Kaba council or who were in Kaba and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, so this is like a generation for you. Okay.
Yeah.
Kinda, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, elaborating on that question, so I heard you wanted to do it because of the generations. Is that kind of like, I wouldn't say the same, but it's like, is that what attracts people to it, you think? The generations and the fun community? Right?
I'd say
Yeah.
not just generation, but like, yeah, I feel like the word gets around. Like, you get to,
Okay.
like, people get to hear about it. But if you hear about it from family, of course you're like, hey, my aunt did this or my cousin did this. Like,
Well, let's get a little bit more personal. Like you say, we might have seen you in the sea of hundreds when we did international this year. What made you
Yeah.
guys personally choose Kaba?
Me personally, I just wanted to be around people who kind of like, I guess, face the same things as me as far as like the Filipino culture, because there's a lot of like Filipino stereotypes, and I'm sure that a lot of people can relate to me. But aside from that, I had multiple cousins that joined the club, and I've heard nothing but good things about the club. So I kind of just wanted to join it and see what it was like, and it always seemed fun.
mm.
Mm.
I'd say it's pretty similar. I don't know if you guys know, but me and Oosh are like half Filipino, actually.
Yeah.
And like for my purpose, I wanted to learn more. I joined because I wanted to learn more about my culture, because it's not that I didn't know anything about it, but just to be surrounded by people my age who also, like Oosh said, like experience the same things as they do because they're Filipino, or just learn, like, be a little bit more knowledgeable about where my family came from and that kind of stuff, or just more like broaden your horizons a bit, I guess.
Mm. That makes
Well,
sense.
that's nice. Well, yeah,
Well,
that's nice to hear. And nice to hear that you guys include, of course, with the dancing, that little touch of heritage and culture to your. I don't know how
Yeah.
to say this, but
Yeah.
Filipino,
Yeah,
the
yeah.
Filipino way, I would
There's something
say.
to take away from it.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not just dancing and that kind of stuff.
yeah.
Well, since you guys are co-VIPs, what made you want to try to run for council?
It's our 4th year.
Yeah, it's
It's
my
our
fourth
4th
year.
year.
Yeah.
Really?
Go big or
Yeah.
You
go
guys
home,
got
I
in
guess.
freshmen?
Go big or go home.
Wow, nice. Have you guys like moved up I wouldn't say moved up, but like jumped around the ranks, or you just kind
Um,
of stayed vice president the whole?
well, we weren't council members like throughout like all 4 years of Kaba, but I know during like our 4th year, like, oh yeah, we're seniors, this is our last chance to try and be more involved in the club. Not saying that we haven't been like already. I
Yeah.
remember, like, I think I've done I've done every performance provided by Kaba and extra.
Yeah,
Like
literally.
yeah, like there's always like something to be more involved with, and I think we just kind of saw the opportunity and we're like, yeah.
Yeah, I want to do that. Like, I
Yeah,
want to be a
put me
part of
in,
that.
coach.
Put me
Yeah.
in, literally, that's what we said.
Put me in, coach.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
So, of course, we know about international. The whole school knows it. Is there anything else you guys do besides international? Like, do you guys perform at other places, or is it just kind of
Mm.
international? And if so, would you want to try to branch out?
Yes, we have performed at another place, and it was just recently. Delta
Was it that?
College. We had performed at other places in previous years, but just recently we performed
And
at Delta College.
Oh, so if I was like a student wanting to join, it would not just be just for international. There would be kind of like
no,
other
yeah, we have
performances
Yeah,
included. Okay.
in years past, we've done things like, actually UOP has an event where they take like all the Filipino clubs from high schools, like locally, like even from Mountain House and like Tracy and that kind of stuff, and they put them all together, and that's called HSP Kilusan, which is like what we have, what we call like quote unquote Hell Week practice for. And I feel like that was always like a really big thing that people joined for. It's not just performing, like you compete in games and stuff, and you compete when you're dancing and stuff too, so you get placed and all that kind of stuff. So like there's even like I don't want to say rivalries between clubs, but that's kind of
Oh, kind of,
Oh.
yeah.
that's kind of how
Oh,
it is.
And we're
Yeah.
kind of known
Yeah.
Yeah.
safety, like they're like, oh yeah, that's Kaba. Like
Yeah.
we
Yeah.
have a big reputation.
Apparently, you know the Make Music Club here?
Mhm.
Like,
Yeah.
apparently, according to someone, I'm not gonna say who, but apparently, like, they have a rivalry with you guys or something, like, and a few other clubs too. Which I don't know.
I think that's a little different.
I think I don't know.
Is it since if we want to go down that rabbit hole, would you guys say it's mostly friendly, or is there a little bit of friction?
I say it's friendly.
Yeah, it's all like it all comes down to like jokes and stuff, I guess. From
Oh,
our
that's fair.
perspective, I have no malice towards any other club.
Yeah, me neither.
Yeah, that's
But-
kind of like how we were a bit with Punjabi Junction because they actually came up to us and roasted us during Club Rush. So
Oh no.
it's not
Well-
mouse or anything, but like, oh, you're gonna get back for that.
When like going back to like HSP and Kilusan, I think what we mean by like club rivalries, it's like you know how Kaba is normally like one of the biggest clubs like at Bear Creek. We're actually like one of the biggest clubs, if not I want to say we are.
From my
I'd
perspective,
say that we are the
from my
biggest.
perspective as a bystander in the bleachers, it was kind of the biggest one. Besides,
Yeah,
I
like,
want to say the
but
only one that was close to you guys was Swing. But even that
Swing,
was kind
yeah,
of a
Swing was really good this year.
Yeah, swing
Swing.
was.
Yeah, as someone who was a member of Kaba for like, I think I joined sophomore year, but I just left after like nothing happened during quarantine. So like, I made screw this.
Yeah,
Like,
Yeah.
and then my junior year, I mainly joined because a lot of my friends, I have a lot of Filipino friends, so I was like, screw it, I might as well do this. I have nothing better to do with my time, so.
well.
Hey, yeah.
Sorry to stop you there, Patrick. But wrapping up to that point, what do you guys say COVID has affected you guys? Like, has that
I
limited
think it has.
performances or practices or like?
I
just
think it
community
definitely
building?
changed. Yeah,
Yeah.
Was there like a
There-
dramatic decrease? Like it's like, oh, there's nothing gonna happen.
mm,
Well, last year we didn't really have the international rally that we wanted because of COVID. Like there wasn't a lot of people on campus, and it was mostly kind of just like the council members performing on the stage. And then in previous years, like we have a lot of people in the gym performing. So I
yeah.
think that kind of like that gap year kind of changed our dynamic, but
Like a recap, essentially.
yeah.
I think it definitely changed the dynamic. Like not only we say that we're the biggest like or that we're one of the biggest clubs, but I think it like put a hinder on the amount of people who actually joined and did kind of
Mhm.
stuff this year. Like for Kaba, we have like one big event every semester in like a normal year without COVID. Like for like you'd have HSP and there'd be like 200 kids
Mhm.
and like tons of people. You're all getting tan in the sun like for a week, spending like 8 hours every day together. And
Mhm.
then for internationally, we have like 250 because now there's people who can stay after school and all that kind of stuff. And then you have
Yeah.
this huge performance that we like really work towards. But everything was kind of up in the air this year, and I think that put a hinder on things. But I'm glad we got to do what we did this year.
Patrick, you wanna?
Yeah, I know this isn't really touched upon, like, but what have you had any experience collaborating with other clubs besides this, or no? Like, is it like pretty rare to happen?
This hasn't really happened.
I would say this is kind of probably like the first thing. I know all club council members are like always in talks with each other. Like a lot of us are already friends with each other or already know one another, but we haven't like specifically collabed. Like I'll go to swing practice sometimes and they'll be like, Jordan, can you say this to them?
Yeah.
Like that kind of stuff, but we've never specifically been like this is a blank X Kaba collab, like, you know, but I think this is pretty cool what you guys are doing. I think it's really
Yeah, me
interesting.
too.
I think it'll be really helpful for years to come.
Oh well, thank you for that. Anyways, let's kind of get back to personal. What's your experience at Bear Creek like? Best and worst besides COVID, because we all know that was the worst.
Ooh.
Like regarding Kaba or just
Oh, regarding Kaba, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Of course, we all know the famous garbage riot. That was obviously one of the bad
Oh
ones.
man.
Oh, come on.
But what's your experience at Cabo? Worst and best.
Like worst and best. Do you want to go first, Oosh?
Trying to think.
Yeah.
There hasn't been like an
Like,
international that hasn't stand out? Like, is there like, oh, the sophomore international was better? No, I wouldn't say better, but I had more fun at the sophomore international than I did my senior one.
I think
Okay.
the bad part was not having that same experience as years before last year, like the whole COVID thing. Like I can't think of anything bad that I've really experienced, but
Yeah.
That's good to hear. And
Yeah.
and wrapping up, what's your best? Is it one of the international, or is there something different?
I think this year's this year's international was kind of the best because it was like
It's our last
it was the
one.
last one.
It's
It
our
was like
last one, yeah. We're a
it
little
was like
biased, I guess. Of
yeah,
course, yeah.
it was like a closure that I
Ye
wanted because like I've been a member for 4 years, and then this year I'm actually part of like the behind the scenes of actually like choreographing the dance and teaching it to the younger classmen or even like our peers. So like being able to be a
Yeah.
part of that and like having it successful, I would say in a sense, I think that's very satisfying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I definitely agree with that. I think this year, default would have to be the best, but I'd say, like, just a good way to, like, think about it, I'd say, like I think it's on par with, like, maybe even, like, just our freshman year, because it's, like, your first time seeing it, and then it's, like, your last time.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, elaborating on what Oosh said, what's your involvement in like Bear Creek? Does Kaba take all your time, or is it kind of like it's kind of
Uh,
I would
I
say kind of not time consumes.
I'm sure all clubs are pretty time consuming. I wouldn't say it took all of my time because this year like I really wanted to ensure that like I was involved as like almost everything that I could. Like my schedule at one point was just like very full. Like I did almost 3 sports this year and I was involved in other clubs, and then Jordan and I
Yeah.
are also lane crew leaders of 2 years. So
Yeah.
but I wouldn't say Kaba took up all of my time, but it was I guess pretty time consuming.
We had enough time to balance, like, sports and other clubs, like, Oosh and I were also in poly,
Mhm.
so, like, we were partners for poly too, so
Yeah, we had to like yeah, it
we're like,
was
"Oh, we need to go to couples practice, whoops." Like,
yeah.
it's always, like, scheduling things out. I think we were pretty, like, full, and continued to be that way for a while, but Kaba's something that we had to, like, make sure we buckled down for, I'd say.
Oh, okay. So what's you guys' practice schedule? I bet that's what some
It
people would
changed
like to know.
a lot this year, actually.
Really?
Um,
So
yeah, normally
is this the first time, or is it like, oh, this is like this happens every year? Sometimes it's just better
no,
this year
this is,
than the
like, the
other.
first time.
Oh,
It was so funny. I just, like, it came to mind, it was, like, the Avatar, like, all the clubs used to live together in harmony. Like, it's,
Oh
like,
my
that kinda
god.
thing. Like, that's kinda what happened because it was, like
Jordan must master all them all in order to bring peace and balance back to the world.
what?
dude,
What would
yeah,
be the four elements? Kaba, swing. What else?
dude, that's what it felt like because all the big clubs like Kaba, Swing, Poly, we all had like our own days where there'd be like a gap in between. And then today I felt like, or like not today, like this year, I feel like it was just kind of like, oop, well, we have practice this day. Whoopsie, hey, bestie. Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
and
Like
like
normally there was some kind of
scheduling.
balance.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well, speaking of balance and stuff, this is a question for both of you guys. How hard is managing Kaba? As we heard, choreography, sorry,
Geography.
and teaching the little classmen. Like, how hard is that? Like, give us a scale onto 1 to 10 ratio for
I
both of you, please.
I wouldn't say it's that hard. Like
I would
Depends on
say
how
like
well
more
you
like
know the
time. I would
dance.
say like time
yeah.
management, or like just trying to learn the dance, or trying to teach a person that's having trouble with the dance. You know.
I think everybody this year was really smart. I think
Mhm.
everybody picked up really well, and it was just them like being less nervous. And I think that's what kind of messed them up. Is they're like, man, I don't want to feel stupid, or like that kind of thing. Like just kind of getting into it a little bit more is what took them time. But learning the dance wise, I didn't think it was gonna be. Actually, I think it was a little. I think I'm gonna give you guys props, Patrick, you two, because you guys were. I think you guys were really smart, and I think you guys picked up really fast, and I'm really proud of
Mhm.
everybody who did it.
Me too.
So So it's not really hard managing Kaba. It's just kind of time consusive.
Oh no, there's like think about teaching like 90 kids and you don't have a microphone.
Yeah.
Like that,
Ooh.
that's the hard part is probably communicating with everybody and trying to make sure that everybody's on the same page. But learning wise, everybody did a really good job learning the dances.
Oh,
Yep.
that's nice to hear.
Yeah.
So, how do you like being your position at VP? Is it kind of like more than what you expected, or is it kind of like I'm just VP?
I kind of expected everything that they needed me to do or to be as co-VP.
I think there was never really like a set like you do this and only
Expectation.
this. Yeah, there was no set expectations, and we just kind of like picked up wherever things needed
So,
to
like,
be.
what's your like council branch? Like president, vice president, and how many people are in council again? Sorry, I can't remember off the top of my head.
7?
7 members,
There's like
and
6 or 7 of us. Yeah.
7, yeah.
and so you guys are co-presidents. So there's a president, 2 co-presidents, a
A
secretary, a
story.
treasurer, and a historian, right?
Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay,
Don't you guys also have board members too?
Yeah.
that's your historian, right? I think.
No, well,
you guys
originally we
having-
had someone who was a board member, but they got moved up to like another position, which I feel like was very fitting for them anyways.
Yeah.
And
That
like
makes sense.
yeah, we're pretty flexible, I guess, when it comes to positions wise. There's been like changes and stuff throughout the year, so
Now let's travel
yeah.
back in time when you're a freshman. What is something you would you want to know as a freshman going into Kaba that would you think would help you self improve? Like, was it just not being as nervous, being confident, or just being trusting of the community? Like,
I
what would you
think
want to know if you as a freshman?
I noticed that everybody was very social and I wasn't used to that my freshman year. Like of course like when you're a freshman you're kind of like in your bubble and you're kind of testing out the waters and I kind of wish that like I wasn't as afraid, I'd say, because I was kind of very shy and timid, but everybody just loved each other and they just want to be friends and bond. I think that's what I wish I would have known.
yeah. I think it's kind of weird cuz now that I think about it, none of my friends really did like your first impression of Kaba as a freshman, like a normal freshman year, no COVID, is Hell Week, and I can't think of like any like previous like friends from middle school or like friends from classes that I had already known going into Hell Week. So I was kind of like, I don't know how to explain it. I was like I was freeballing it, you know, like I went in.
You just gotta go through the motions and all that.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I kind of I don't want to I didn't really put myself out there as much either, but like there's not much, like not a lot of people know you. Actually, what is it? Vince was, he was a junior that year. I want to say he was historian and he was also my link crew leader. And he was one of the people that I like knew and kind of was more comfortable around, but everybody was just really nice.
Yeah.
And as
So-
freshman me, I would say like just like what Oosh said, not be as nervous to get to know people.
Oh, well, that's nice to know. So if I'm a freshman joining college, I just have to know it's a very social club, and
Like don't be
it
afraid
helps
to
you-
ask questions
don't
and
be
talk to
afraid.
people.
Yes.
Yeah, don't be afraid to ask questions and talk to people.
Now I know this might sound silly because it's after international, but do you guys have any more goals for the club, or what do you guys do now after international?
We're
Elections,
planning-
baby.
Yeah, elections and then
Really?
like
So
I-
our
Quarter for all, like you would say for all. Sorry to interrupt, but
You're
for
good.
all these fourth question, I mean all fourth quarter is election, right? For all like each separate quarter.
Mainly, yeah, it's
Mainly-
elections and then our potluck.
our potluck, yeah.
Oh, okay.
That's it.
That's
That's it.
oh
Yeah,
my god.
our
Why
end of
why
year
are you so
potluck.
disappointed, man? Like
I don't know. I just cause, come
You're
here,
like,
come on, it's
that's it?
Kaba. It's Kaba, man. I would have guessed more, but like also,
it's
The
fourth quarter,
potluck's
everybody's
always
testing.
fun, yeah.
It's
Yeah,
everybody's
like-
testing.
It's always fun though, it's fun. Like
I have a question. I'm sorry to interrupt, but like, how do you guys do your election process? Because like, I know every club does it differently. Like, some just appoint people, others do actual full blown popular vote. Like, how do you guys do it?
I remember, I'm not sure how we're gonna go about it this year, but I think our forums just closed as of last weekend.
Oh, so
And
Google Forms.
Google Forms, yeah, and we
there's also like a voting section that we've done in
Mhm.
like in the past, and then that kind of like it. I think that's how it narrowed down like some of the candidates. Like, okay, so then we have these people who applied, these people are elected, and then they go through an interview process, and then they
So
kind of
after,
pick who would do best in what position.
oh, so like that. Okay, so it's like after they've picked, like you said, there's 7 people. So as soon as like there's a select number of candidates, let's just say for example 6. There's 6 prime candidates. The previous council kind of fits them into the place.
Mhm. Like,
Mhm.
there's places you apply for and stuff, but, like,
Oh,
it's,
okay.
like, adjustments that are made or, like, people they like, "Okay, so then these people had these votes," or, "We think this person would be better for this position," or that kinda thing.
Mhm.
So
Oh,
it's like a
sense.
combination of everything, really. I feel like it's trying
do
to be as
all the
fair as
clubs do this,
possible.
or is it just kind of like just all clubs do something different? We have like
Everybody
the
does something
Yeah,
different, like, I'm president of Creek Crazies, Oosh's I think you're co-vice for Creek
vice
Crazies with
president.
Lauren, yeah.
Yeah.
You just kinda that one is just kind of like appointing, but everybody does it different. Everyone has their own way of doing it, you know?
Yeah, like that's something we were a bit curious about because this is our first year as a club too. So like we're like, okay, so like how do we do this? Like trying to figure out ourselves, you know? It's
I
kind of
think
why.
it just depends on, like, how big your club is and how you guys wanna go about it, like, how many people you have apply and then who you just see is best fit, and if you wanna do an election, you can do an election too. But you just have to make sure the people who are voting are the people in your club and who are involved, you know?
Well,
Yeah.
speaking of that, has that? It sounds like that's been a problem. Has that ever been a problem?
Um, Not that I know of, like
I just
it's
want to make sure because you brought it up, and I was like, oh, maybe
yeah,
this
I
has that
think
happened?
for
Because I
yeah,
wanted to say
for
that because you guys did a Google Form. Sorry to interrupt, but you guys
s-
did Google Forms. Like, how can you tell the different accounts from each other? Do you guys like shift
we
through, or you just
I think
trust it?
we did like last time it was like a Google Classroom that was made and then you put like your name and stuff down, like you can't just like fake votes.
Yeah.
Like there's a certain way of doing it or like we'll do it through school, through school
Yes.
email,
So
which
that
is
way that one dude with 73 alternates just doesn't fraud the whole thing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
73 alternates.
That's a lot. Like, I have 3, but 73.
Every vote counts. Every
There's always that one dude who just somehow happens to have like 75 different accounts for no apparent reason other than just to
yeah.
have them.
Even if, if you got like all your buddies to like vote for you or something like that, like we try our best to like look over everything and we check all this stuff. We're like, oh, this seems legit or this does, like that kind of
Yeah.
stuff.
Well, like you say, you guys are. I want to take. Let's go a little past this, but like you say, you guys are seniors. This is kind of like you're wrapping it up. It's just kind of like goodbye. Here's the new people. So
Mm.
you guys are seniors. So after graduation, so in your respective colleges, do you see something similar to Kaba, and are you willing to try it?
I tried to do a little bit of research on Chico State. That's where I'm going for college. And they actually do something like pretty much the same thing that we do. They kind of do like, they don't call it an international carnival, but they call it like a festival. And I looked at videos and they have all the clubs in their quad and they're like kind of just promoting their club. And they actually do like their own HSP there too. So I kind of looked into it and I am willing to try it. And I want
Yeah.
to.
I'm attending Delta College, which is the local community college here, and they have their own. That's kind of like what we did our performance through is like their cultural section of clubs. It's called
Oh,
Epic, I believe, but a lot of the stuff, like I think the UCs and all that stuff, like Davis and all that, they all have their own Filipino club and communities, and they all do their own like HSP because HSP is actually through UOP, which is Pacific, and they all come and do their own things and all that kind of stuff. It's pretty crazy. Like you can always find a community like that somewhere,
Mm.
especially like local, like in California. I feel like there's always something there.
Yep.
Hmm.
All right. So going back towards a bit personal, like what would you actually change about Kaba? Like if, like reflecting, like as being on council, like what would you change?
Communication.
Oh,
Yeah.
We need to talk more. We need to. That's
between council or between like members?
everyone.
Really?
Yeah, both.
Is you
Really?
guys, so how would you guys do it?
Everyone.
Do you guys do it like do it a Discord like this, or do you guys do
Like
it
a
through
remi-
text message, remind?
I think we could have been more active on like all fronts, like we had like a group chat and we'd like call each other and that kind of stuff, but I think just being more
Is that
active
what?
or like setting up more in-person meetings, more meetings just generally with council or the entire club, just informational instead of just having straight practices.
So you guys just have a select date, and if something happens, like let's just say like it cannot happen that day. Do you guys like cancel it through the social media platforms, or how does that
Yeah,
usually work?
just like on every front. Like if
Yeah.
something happened, we'd be like, okay, on Remind this, on Instagram this. If we see someone in person, like, hey, tell everybody that we can't make it today or that kind of stuff. But normally there
So
was always like a
communication is
council
a
member.
major issue. Would you say that it's a major issue, and like you said, for crazies?
I think like just like for every club, everybody could always like attest to be like, yeah, we should have talked a bit more. Like everyone always relates to like, yeah, we probably could have said this or whatever. But
the
What do you
season.
say is the better communication? You seven together through council, or is it towards like the whole member thing too? What do you think is the worst front you guys can deal with, like the members or like your own council?
I think we were like less informed. I don't want to say less informed, but I think it was just hard for everybody to kind of be on the same page, like council wise, because we're all doing like our own things, and that's like nobody's fault really, except like this is kind of all on all of us. And there's like I have no problem with anybody or like nothing. It was nothing personal, like that kind of stuff. It's just I know everybody. I'm sure like reflecting on it, we're like, yeah, we probably could have done this or that kind of thing
Or
too. But I
that.
think the members did the best that they could, and I'm still like I said, like just really proud of everybody kind of powering through it because I know we started a little late this year.
Was that because of COVID?
Yeah, we were.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were a little afraid after like the Omicron variant, like that
Yeah.
kind of stuff. I didn't want to push anybody to like, okay, no, well now we have practice, expose each other. like,
Did you guys
like
ever like show vaccine card or
no, there was nothing like as a like on that kind of deal, but it was more like just I want to make sure
mask
that everybody stay safe or like we have like
mask
wipes and hand
precaution?
sanitizer. Yeah, like wipes and hand
Yeah.
sanitizer, wear your mask, that kind of stuff. Because it's a big club, we don't want to be responsible for somebody getting sick or like have that kind of worry. Because I wouldn't want that on any of the members.
On a numbers front, would you say there was a dramatic decrease from kids during COVID, and then like a dramatic increase after COVID?
I think that the number we have now was almost doubled my sophomore year, so I think COVID kind of made a decrease, but I still would say that we had a big amount this year.
Like 100 people is still a lot of people, but it's
Yeah,
yeah, that's what we're saying. Like it's like we had years where it'd be like almost 300, 200, 300 kids, and then
Yeah.
this year we have like 100, and we're grateful for the people that we have, but we
yeah.
just know that it's been bigger before, and
That's big.
honestly, I'm not sure how like how they dealt with it. Like I don't know if we can barely do it. I don't want
With
to say barely. I think we did pretty
no, but
good.
yeah, we did pretty good, but like
It's like crazy to think about now. It's just like, man, you
yeah.
guys had double this.
Yeah.
So to a new member joining Kaba, you want them to know that's going to be very social, very active community. Just watch out for communication.
I'd
Yep.
say yeah, just make sure to ask, like I said, like ask questions, man. Be like, are we doing it this day, or do you want to like, are we having a meeting? Should we do that? Like if you're a member or if you're planning to be on council and that kind of stuff, like make sure to ask questions. Be sure to make sure that everybody's on the same page. But just it's not all business all the time. That's what like the social part is. It's like make sure you're there to have fun and stuff too, because that's what we want really. Is like you don't have to be good at dancing or you don't have to completely understand, like we're not going to test you on Filipino culture or anything, but like have fun, make sure that you're always like happy with what you're
Open.
doing.
Well, it's been
Okay, so
now we kind
getting a
of
little
yeah.
getting a little bit more personal, like if you could give any advice to like say for example like the next council of Kaba, like what advice would you give them?
Besides communication,
Well, say that.
That was my answer too. Dang.
I knew exactly. Got ya.
Ruben's a mind reader.
I'm
Oh
trying to-
man.
I heard it coming. I'm like, no, we can't do that.
We're not being repetitive.
From my standpoint, if you're in Kaba, I'd say I was more of the authoritative person, or hashtag big fat meanie, like that kind
Why
of.
does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it's from SpongeBob. It's the
She had the big fat meanie trophy.
yeah.
I can relate. I can relate.
Yeah, I'm loud, and I'm like, there's no question about that. But I would say there's no. You shouldn't have to feel bad for taking on that role, but you have to know that like
There are times where you need to do that.
there's times where you need to do that, and you're not always that person. You're not always like
You're
don't.
just more so getting their attention essentially.
Yeah, it's like if you have to say something and you have to get your point across, get your point across. But if people are feeling indifferent about that, there's nothing to really feel bad about, and make sure that like that for yourself, not just like as a club, because as like your members may not know you as well as your fellow council members or your friends and stuff. Like there's always, I don't want to say it's like a thing you put on, but it's like it's a switch, like you turn it on and off.
Right.
Any advice to any people in Cabo who wanna try to run for council this year or the next year?
Do it.
Just do it. Like,
do
Yeah,
it.
just
Do
do it. Just do it.
really passionate about really wanting to be involved in the club, just do it. Like,
Do you guys do like speeches or like do?
yeah, we do speeches.
Okay.
Speech.
And like the whole like cafeteria, you're in with a
It's
microphone or exactly.
Or is
Sorry, no
Or
microphone.
isn't it at the potluck? Like where
yeah,
you
the
just say-
potlucks or your
Yeah.
last practices, that kind of stuff. It's a lot of crying. I know our last practice, I was sobbing
do you
mad.
usually get a lot of people applying for council or is it
What's
like
the average number?
That's hard to say. I
Yeah.
think there's always at least like 10, Like there's
Really?
always there's
10?
always at least 10. I think
least.
like enough to fill all the positions at least,
Yeah.
And
I was
some-
like 100
and
kids
some-
and only 10.
Yeah.
Only 110 want to be.
that's a surprisingly low number for that big of a club.
I'm sure it's been bigger in like years past,
Yeah,
but
probably.
Well, then again, U.S. presidency, how many candidates are there? Like 30? And they're out of how many million people? So that's actually a decent 1 to 10th ratio. Not bad.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's like 10% of people who are in Kaba applied for council then, yeah.
Yeah.
So
Would you say a good amount applied this year?
I'd say yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'm excited to see like how things will go. I like the list of people that we have that applied. I think it's gonna make like a very interesting dynamic for next year.
That makes sense.
Well, we're kind of wrapping up now here. Any questions that we haven't asked that you think would be beneficial to anybody interested in the club?
Or anything you just want to say in general?
Well, one, thank you for having us.
Yes, thank
No
you.
problem.
I'm not sure what else there is like to really say other than just don't be afraid. Not even just for Kaba, like join as many clubs as you think you can handle. Cause like it's a very different experience in every club, and I think anyone can benefit from like just going out there and doing that. Like I wish I did more.
Me too.
I
Well,
wish I
again,
did
there's
more.
nothing we could have really done. Like, I wish I could have done more, but then COVID hit, and it's
Yeah.
like, anyway, I'm kind of
Even just this year, I totally could have done another club if I wanted to. Like that kind of
Yeah.
thing.
Well, hey, we're doing
I could have
science camp.
squeezed one more in there. Yeah, there is science
Exactly,
camp.
we're gonna do that. I'm gonna see you there. We're gonna take care of a bunch of 6th graders for
I
3 days.
it's my weekly basis, Ruben. That's my
That you have to
true,
do it.
but
You have
I
you
bet-
do
I
it.
bet-
Good job.
Yeah, I know, but it's like we're gonna have to sleep with them, so it's like maybe a little different.
Sleep with now.
Well, have
Hey,
No,
yo.
you guys didn't read
Well,
the
Hey,
Jordan-
chapter?
yo.
Hey,
As-
man.
Oh,
I'm
no.
playing. I'm playing. Yes.
maybe we could do a follow up and you can give your perspective on that.
Oh,
Oh, you
and
guys are welcome.
like,
And then again,
yeah,
you
I
guys
could
are
promote
welcome to
Mr.
join
Fleek.
anytime.
Yeah, promote Mr.
compare
Fleek's careers in education class.
it
Yeah.
also yeah, you could also like reflect on like did you go to science camp as a 6th grader yourself?
Yes, I did.
Probably give your perspective on how they were different, like the second being on the other side of the coin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, like
Well,
my
you
family
guys-
members who were like cabin leaders were also like Kaba council, which is kind of
Nice.
Oh, really?
Oh, wow.
yeah.
There's the
The
generation
cycle-
coming in play.
The cycle continues.
Yeah.
Well, then again, I want to say you guys, great having you guys here. Very talkative, even though this is the first episode, but you guys have been great guests.
You guys
I
made a
want-
very good pilot episode.
I want to
Thank
say,
you.
I want to say that you guys are welcome to join this regular podcast club. We usually just talk about
Random
whatever's
shit.
popular, whatever's happening, or just past
Whatever.
experiences.
Classics.
We can figure out a time to do it in person next time. Yeah.
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 Yeah, personally, that would be better. But we're busy. We have to do that science packet, and we have to
Oh,
get
yeah.
parent signatures.
Yeah.
Or I have to get parent signatures. So
Yep.
Junior, well,
Mm.
it's been great, guys, having you here.
Yep. Thank you for having
Thank
us.
you.
It's a cool
No
opportunity.
problem.
All right. So I guess we'll see you guys later.
Guess we'll
So
stay tuned for the next one. Who knows? You guys choose. Do you want us to do poly, swing? Who knows? Even the crazy. Maybe they'll come back on.
We'll come back. We'll come back again.
your comeback is Creek Crazy.
We'll
That'll be
come back.
funny.
Come back. Yeah, we'll come
Yeah.
back.
Bring,
Just be crazy.
bring Lauren with you too. That'll be fun.
We should
Yeah,
do that.
if you guys have more people you think would be interested in this, just give them contact and they can.
Yep.
We can
just
set up a date.
Tell them to hit us up.
Definitely.
All right.
Definitely.
All right. Well, thank you for tuning
Well-
into this episode of the Bear Creek High School podcast, and we'll see you
Episode
next
1.
time.
We'll see you next time.
All right.
You know how to close it, right?
Yeah.
I see. Well then, I'll see you guys science camp Monday morning
guys
at
around,
7:15.